Today I'm going to go ahead and show you 10 of like my favorite medium-sized budget knives. Now when I say budget, I'm talking like around like $50. Yeah, that kind of budget knife. So we have a lot to look at and we better get started. So let's do this. Hey, how you doing? If this is your first time here, my name is Jay and welcome to my channel. Now consider clicking on that subscribe if you're looking for knife reviews that get right to the point. Now you're probably wondering, okay, what does a medium size knife, what does that consist of, Jay? Well, there's actually two qualifiers. The first, it has to have a blade length of no less than 3.1 and no more than 3.59 inches in length, and it has to cost no more than $55. So $55 or less. Starting out at number 10, we've got a newer knife to my collection. This is the Real Steel H5 Gerfalcon, and there's a couple things that I like about it. The first one being the multiple deployment options. I absolutely just love that I can either open this blade with either the thumb studs or the flipper tab. Always appreciate that. And you notice the action, yeah, it is very, very good in both directions. And speaking of those thumb studs, look at the size of those mamas. Nice and big, really easy to get at, you know, and also you can use it when you're wearing gloves. The blade steel 14C28, and excellent for a budget steel. A couple things that I don't like, and the first one being, well, I did say that the action was pretty good, and it is with the thumb studs, but when you use that flipper tab, yeah, the detent's kind of weak there, so I'm able to fail it pretty much whenever I want. And lastly, the lack of symmetry between the two scales. One side, of course, is G10, the other, we already determined, is stainless steel. Coming in at number 9, we've got the P801 from Ruike, and this knife also, just like the previous one, has the multiple deployment options, so you can use either the thumb studs or the flipper tab. This construction is all stainless steel, so this thing is solid. But then again, there's going to be a compromise because it's going to weigh a little bit more, but it's understandable. The steel, the blade steel, 14C28N, again, that Sandvik stuff, really good budget steel. Because of this knife's very slim design, it practically takes up like no room in the pocket. The action, and I'm sure you noticed that by now, yeah, this thing, both directions, the action, flies open, drops shut, and the P801 is also one of the easiest knives I have ever had to disassemble. What don't I like? Well, we already talked about it a second ago. Yeah, it's heavy. You're looking at about 4.2 ounces in weight, and these thumb studs, while I do like that they're there, they're actually kind of on the small side. So sometimes, yep, sometimes if I'm not paying attention, I'll miss that thumb stud. The pocket clip is just going to be one position, and no, it is not going to be for us lefties. And the traction. So of course, this being the stainless steel, I mean, traction isn't going to be the best either, especially in those like cold winter months. And number 8, we have the Artisan Cutlery Tradition, and this is the small version with the D2 blade steel. Now, there's quite a few things I love here. This drop point, for one, I mean, that is just a gorgeous. Look at that. Just such a nice drop point blade shape. The handle, very, very comfortable. Now keep in mind though, I have medium-sized hands, so if yours are any larger, you might run into some trouble here. Nested liners, which I always appreciate. It just keeps that, the width of the handle, it keeps that kind of down. We're looking at a 2-position pocket clip. Yep, so it is going to be tip up for righties. Look at that, some lefty love. Thank you, Artisan. And the blade to handle ratio is excellent here. It is 1-to-1. What don't I like about the Artisan Cutlery small tradition? Well, the closing action can kind of be, and I don't know how else to put it other than like slightly annoying, and there's two reasons for that. The first one being because of the location of the detent ball. So on the lock bar, that ball is towards the back on this knife, when, you know, typically we see it towards the front of that lock bar. So it causes it to like kind of pass the detent late, so you're not able to do that closure like where you have it hit your thumbnail and then shake it closed. No, you're not able to do that here. And even if you were able to pull off that type of closure, there is no like ramp for the detent, and this one needs it badly. Coming in at number 7 is a knife. This has to be like my all-time favorite, or at least one of my favorite Ganzo Firebird knives, and it's the FH41. The first thing that I like is going to be that price. Like I said just a minute ago, $25 for a knife that has a blade shape. I absolutely am in love with this blade. I really am. It also features a nested liner, so keeps the bulk down just a little bit. Did you see that action? Oh my God, is the action so good. And there is only one issue that I have with that knife, and I have already corrected the problem. It's the fact that there was no forward finger choil. This was just like kind of a large sharpening choil, and you can see I went ahead and changed all that to make this knife even better. And number 6, we've got the Stedemon BP-02, and I am going to tell you right now, this knife, okay, this knife has the absolute best action out of everything that I'm going to show you today. Watch this. Oh my, that is just, well, yeah, it left me speechless. Now, there is obviously no flipper tab, just the thumb studs, but you can close this knife like it does have a flipper tab, because you got that little nubbins there. So what you're able to do is let that hit your nail. Gosh dang, do I have a hard time putting this knife down. And really there's only 2 problems that I have with this knife. The first one being that pocket clip. I can't stand it. I mean, and not only is it's long, but it gives you kind of a shallow carry, and just the way that it's attached to the knife, you know, I'm having a hard time coming up with solutions for putting on a different pocket clip. As well, as you can see, I haven't been able to come up with anything. So if any of you have a solution, by all means, please hit me up in the comments or send me an email. And the last issue being the blade steel. So yeah, it's 440C, and this knife retails for about $36. So yeah, I mean, if you're one of those people that you gauge the value of a knife by its blade steel, yeah, this one, then you would definitely consider it way overpriced. And I'll bet you guys were wondering when the heck I was going to whip this knife out. Well, here it is. Number 5 is going to be the Free Tiger FT903, a newer knife to the collection. Lots of things I love about it. The first one, and one of the most important, the price. $23 that you can pick this up for on Amazon. And for what you're getting for that amount of money is, well, it's really, really good. The action, oh, dropping shut, flying open, just a nice, well dialed in detent. This knife is one of the best slicers with D2 steel that I currently own. This knife just tears through anything and everything. The handle is super comfortable. I don't like how far back, you know, it kind of pushes your hand away from the blade. And there's only a couple things that I don't like about this knife. The first one being the disassembly. Now, if you remember, I was working on a modification on my other version of this knife, and I've kind of hit a snag because the pivot screws, yeah, Loctited, glued, cemented, whatever the heck you want to call it, they ain't budging. I have tried so many different tricks out of the book. You know, I'm running out of options here, but so that's why I haven't completed that modification yet. The other issues being the branding. You know, usually this doesn't bother me too much, but man, is this just huge. And number 4, I have the Lion from Bestech, and I pretty much love just about everything about this blade. Everything. Thickness, the shape, well, everything. The action in both directions. Yep, flies open, drops shut. I do like that the handle is a little bit wider, and it does so it fills out your hand. You know, it doesn't make it great in the pocket, but at least for using the knife, oh yeah, it's super comfortable. A couple of things I don't like. The first one being the weight. Yeah, this is kind of heavy at about 4.8 ounces. What's that? 136 grams. That's a little bit on the heavy side. The traction, or I should say the lack of, yeah, these are pretty smooth, so there's really not much to hold onto in the way of traction. Just so you know, I really did try to go ahead and spread the love around on this list, so I didn't have you know, like different models of the same brand taking up multiple spots here. Except now with number 3, the Bestech Texel. I just could not leave this knife off the list. I couldn't. I tried, couldn't do it. Because as a budget sheep's foot, it honestly, it's one of the best. It really is. And for being a sheep's foot with a flipper tab, you know, usually, well, not usually, a lot of times, those don't work out too well, because then you end up having like just, you know, like the tip of the blade making contact when you're cutting something. And really the only things that I don't like about this knife is, well, the pocket clip. Yeah, it's not deep carry. Number 2, Honey Badger. This is the medium in the D2, and it would probably be a lot easier and faster if I just talk about what I don't like, because there is so much that I love here. So that's what I'm going to do. Lack of finger choil. Now, if you remember, the first version of these knives with the HCR steel had that really nice jimped forward finger choil. They went ahead and did away with it. Bummed me out, but it is what it is. And the scales, I am just not, you know what, I'm just not the biggest fan of this, like this texture, this pattern, and just the way that it feels in my hand. It makes it seem kind of cheap. Okay, are you guys ready? Want to see my number 1 favorite medium everyday carry knife? It is going to be, wham! Yep, the Civivi Backlash. And I mean, this knife is popular for a reason. It has it all. The action, the blade steel, the performance. Oh man, can this thing cut. And you know what? I don't even like this blade shape that much. No, this is definitely not my preference here. But I'm willing to set all of that aside because of how well done this entire knife is. And the only negative that I have, and this is a stretch because it's the blue liners, and really I can't complain about it anymore because they've corrected the situation with all of the other versions that Civivi has released. Now I've shown you my list. I want to see yours, and just go ahead and put it down in the comments section. What does your top 10 list of medium knives, everyday carry knives, what does that look like? If you don't have 10, great. Just put down as many as you like. Now do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video and you got any value from it, would you just let me know by leaving one of these? And don't forget to click on subscribe. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next video. You guys take care. See you later.